First off, though, the Greeks will be heading back to the polls. After more than a week and a half of talks, the country's politicians have finally admitted defeat here. Party leaders failed to garner enough support for a cross-party coalition, and as such, the president has also proposed a technocracy. That didn't work either, it seems. So as of next month, the Greeks will once again be heading to the ballot box. Complicating these kind of issues further, while the two top parties still have completely different views about Greece's role in Europe.
I've done everything I could do to avoid a new election, a new democracy. I've agreed to be in a government with everyone else excluded as long as we remain in the European Union. But we've had to face a war, and now the elections are unavoidable, regardless of the choice of the Greek people. Fellow Greeks, we decided with responsibility not to fail the hopes of the Greek people and not to become untrustworthy. The parties of the bailout conditions. They didn't ask us to consent in government. They asked us to leave the country without any hope and put our signature on the measure of the austerity. We didn't do them the favor. We resisted as much as we could.
And that was the Syriza party leader, Alexis Tsipras. Now, his party is the new front-runner, having finished second at the previous election. It's opposed to the terms of the bailout and has even suggested a moratorium on debt repayments. So, what could that mean for Greece and the Eurozone as a whole? Well, there's still a lot of confusion about exactly what could happen, but this is one likely scenario. If Greece refuses to make repayments, it won't receive any bailout money. If it has no money, it will have to issue its own money. Drachmas. It used to run drachmas before the event of the euro. Now, that would put it in breach of the euro treaty if it did that, which means it may have to actually leave the eurozone, which leaves us to the dreaded word contagion. Investors flee debt in other weak economies, bond yields rise, like Portugal, Ireland, the peripherals, and possible bailouts for the likes of people like Spain and Italy. All a very, very dire prognostication there, but it gets worse. And if you have these bailouts, that is obviously going to start increasing the costs to countries holding up the Eurozone like Germany. The end of that, though, if it's the really, I guess you'd call it the nuclear option in many ways, it would be the actual breakup of the entire Eurozone. But that is very, very unlikely, at least at this stage, according to most analysts, although the odds are growing that Greece will leave the Eurozone. Now, Greeks are growing increasingly concerned, and so are the nation's lenders. Depositors have withdrawn hundreds of millions of dollars from the banks in Greece in recent days. Well, Nicholas Theokarokis is an assistant economic professor at the National University of Athens. He joins us now live from the capital. Thanks very much for joining us. Is this election going to decide, do you think, whether Greece stays or leaves the Eurozone?
I think the problem is that both courses are very dangerous in the sense of that a possibility of leaving the Eurozone is there. If we follow the politics of austerity and of the memorandum, Greece at the moment is insolvent. There is no way, if we follow the current policy, that a bailout will take place. And in fact, we have managed to do something which is phenomenal, that is to bankrupt, to default with the PSI, the public sector involvement, and still not maintain fiscal sustainability. So sooner or later, if we keep on this path, there will be a point where we will not be able to meet our obligations. On the other hand, if we decide unilaterally to leave the euro, this means that we have to default first, because there is no way you can repay a debt in euro if you are in drachma or any other currency. So you are between a rock and a hard place, and I think the elections reflected that both policies are wrong. The only thing is that the people were fed up with the old parties, and this is why we saw this disaster for them, while on the other hand we had some sinister results, like the appearance of a neo-Nazi party in the Greek parliament.
OK, I'm afraid we're going to have to leave it there. Mr Theokarokis having a few audio problems there. Nicholas Theokarokis there joining us from Athens with that look at what happens next. Nina.